Dear friends, welcome to the Fireside Chat session with Sourabh Chitrachar. He is the Regional Vice President of Liberty Mutual. Hello, sir. Welcome to the session.
Hi, Shubham.
Sir, we are delighted to have you in this session. So, to begin with, let me ask you that the COVID 19 pandemic has highlighted the need for insurance coverage across various domains. From health insurance to business continuity, what lessons has the industry learned, and how have the customer expectations and market demands changed over the last few years?
So it's an interesting question, right? So from when you look at the industry in general during pre-COVID-19 and post-COVID-19, there have been a lot of changes in terms of the expectations from the customers and the way even the insurance companies work. So basically, in the past, it would be a more manual or face-to-face interactions which you would see, but of late there are a lot of virtual enablement which has happened, and that has continued to evolve. And also from a customer standpoint, what this has brought forward is a seamless interaction which the customers are expecting as they interact with these insurance companies, or if they interact like with any other organization, whether it is banks or their technology needs, etc. So that consumer behavior has driven a shift in the industry in terms of more personalized interactions with the customers. And at the same time, in terms of the within the employees, so within the organizations, there has been a rapid shift in terms of uh, the new work from anywhere, which is the new normal, as we know. And in terms of the new normal, even there, it requires most of the organizations to sort of focus on two things: seamless connectivity and enabling being able to work from any device from anywhere. So obviously, that's very easy to say than to do. So when you are implementing something like that as a solution, one of the biggest challenges which comes is with the security aspects, because in the organizations we work with a lot of data, and which is customer data as well as employee data, and a lot of it is protected based on the regulatory requirements within different countries, and that means that these solutions for the employees as well as customers which we build, I mean, there has to be a very thorough diligence into the security aspects of the data which we have for employees as well as for the customers. So, and then also another shift which we are witnessing is the new models, new business models which are evolving in the form of whether it is micro insurance or embedded insurance, or also new models in the sense like pay as you use sort of models for motor products or for health products, or even the industrial and commercial products. Like the examples being, in terms of, for example, wearables, which we have for the users. Like as a customer, an insurance carrier might provide a wearable device like a Fitbit or something, which helps you kind of monitor your health, and at the same time, the data which comes from that device basically helps in better risk profiling of the customer, and also helps prevention of loss for the customer in terms of the health. So the more information, more data you have as an insurance carrier, the same data or the same could be passed on to the some of it could be shared with the customers, so that the lifestyle changes could be made, and that helps them in being healthy, and then that also helps in terms of for the healthy lifestyle, basically helps in terms of reducing the premium as well. So that's one example. Similarly, in motor, we have the pay as you go, pay as you use sort of concepts, where if, like in a lot of countries, if you're not using your vehicle on a daily basis, let's say if you're driving your vehicle only on the weekends, then I mean you should not be, as a customer, sometimes you don't have to pay for like a full premium. You could look at the, based on the data usage, the and the pattern. There are those policies which are also entering the marketplace, which cater to pay as you use or pay as you go. based on the usage of your motor vehicle. Similarly, in the commercial space, also there have been examples which like smart home solutions, and industrial solutions which are smart. And from that perspective, you can definitely look at areas which can help you in terms of understanding the risk and sending in um, messaging to the client which could help them take corrective actions and prevent the loss for the like the loss of fire or loss of let's say a pipe bursting in a factory or in an industrial environment. So those are some of the things. And then the other thing, so one has been around the customers. As we see new business models, we are seeing more personalization of experience. We are seeing more advent of new technologies which could help in terms of getting a better experience. And then from an employee standpoint and from an organizational standpoint, continued focus on a lot of security aspects within the organization. Then the other aspect which has also undergone a change, in my view, has been around the let's say the regulatory landscape. When we look at the regulatory landscape, and as we continue to operate in low interest environments, it becomes critical that the solutions which are provided are conforming to the regulatory guidelines, but at the same time, providing a good experience for the customers. And also another aspect which again relates kind of to the regulatory governance aspects is in some of the countries we are seeing de-tarification. What that means is basically there is a bigger competition, more entrants entering into the insurance space, and that means that the pricing has to be dynamic, and it has to be something which is attractive for the consumers because of the availability of a lot of tools, comparison tools, etc., and the experience. So I think there have been multiple areas which have undergone change and enabled by the external regulation as well as the consumer demand and also the employee experience that we are seeing a lot of shifts right now.
Okay, sir. Related to this only, I have one another question. That is, the insurance industry is experiencing unprecedented levels of digital transformation. Could you share your insights on how technologies like AI, machine learning, and data analytics are reshaping the landscape from underwriting, customer experience, risk assessment, and claims processing to customer interactions and risk assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so some of the examples which I cited just in my last response to the last question, like when you look at a pay-as-you-go models or pay-as-you-use models, or if you look at personalization of customer experience, or if you look at smart homes and smart industrial solutions and the insurance aspects of it, and also if you look at from a risk assessment standpoint, there are a lot of it is dependent on data, right? So an insurance industry is a lot about data and risk assessment based on that data. Now, looking at that aspect, what happens is as these new technologies, the new demands from the customers, as well as regulatory landscape, as well as employees come in place, a lot of digital solutions are used. Like, for example, when you look at industrial solutions from a customer experience point of view, or if you look at the healthcare example, which I mentioned about wearables like Fitbits, I think that's a lot to do with the IoT solutions. Now, when you look at claims assessment, for example, that's another touch point, right? So from a customer experience perspective, or from an insurance organization perspective, there are basically the scenarios, most of the lines of business within the industry. One is when you're buying a policy, and the second is when when it's a moment of truth, when you have a claims. Right? So in terms of the buying experience, I mean, obviously AI is being used, chatbots are being used to answer more generic questions for the customers. And then you also have the tools for quick quote and for the customers in terms of the premium, so that they can do a comparison, right? So when you go to different websites, you can see the policy premium which you will be paying for a particular policy, and that's how you do a sort of comparison of the features and the pricing and take a decision. So that's where again data and analytics come into play, looking at the dynamic pricing across the carriers. The in the claim space again, it becomes very critical to enhance that experience. Like in the past, when you look at a motor insurance claim, for example, it could take as high as about 2 to 3 weeks to process a claim, and now you can do that probably in 15 minutes or even lesser, depending on the type of claims. And if it is a complex claim, it could take longer, and the complexity is because of primarily we need to be risk averse, and there are a lot of fraudulent claims. If you look at the industry overall, I mean, in the US alone, we are talking about close to about $2 billion worth of fraudulent claims every year, which is a significant amount, right? So from an industry perspective, it becomes impertinent that every claim which comes in has to be viewed from an angle of fraudulent claim as well. So, but barring that, let's say those are complex cases. I mean, and there are those mechanisms already built in the form of AI tools, analytics, which are real time, which help you in kind of assessing the fraud. But at the same time, when you look at claims processing time, how it has improved is basically by using a lot of analytics, OCR, AI technologies. And how it works in general is, let's say you connect to multiple databases. You basically, as a customer, you upload a photograph of the damage. For example, I'm talking about motor car, right? It's a simple one. So you upload the photograph. The photograph is matched against the database, which could be external databases, which could be garage databases, which could be OEM databases, which is the manufacturer databases. And then what it does is, then it basically, based on the image, you can basically figure out what was the level of damage, and then based on that level of damage, you can say, okay, if this is the level of damage, do I need a replacement or do I need a repair? And then if it is a replacement, it links to a database of parts, and you can basically say this is what it is going to cost you. And at the same time, if it is a repair, you have a list of garages in the vicinity near to the customer, based on the GPS and geosensing technologies. And so and all that happens very, very quickly. In the past, you would need to send a claims assessor to assess the damage. Then that report has to be prepared, that has to be sent. Then the garages need to be contacted. So it was a very manual, long-winded process, and it would take a lot of time. But with this, and you can get if it is a simple claim, it could be just within like 15 minutes in a lot of the markets and across a lot of carriers. So claims customer service, I mentioned about chatbots. We mentioned, I think I also mentioned about sentiment recognition for call centers. I mean, when a customer is calling, there are call center technologies available which help you kind of assess the sentiment of the customer, and based on the voice modulation, the tone of the voice, etc. And the call center agent can get a tip, basically saying, hey, you need to slow down, or you need to the customer is getting aggravated, or so on, right? So there are a lot of tips which are available which help you in terms of the sentiment recognition. And chatbots are there for general questions. Then you have also like in sales or distribution, again, there are a lot of comparison tools available. There are dynamic pricing available, and all that basically is enabled by technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, IoT, advanced data analytics, and also, let's say, even technologies as simple as, in the past we had machine learning, right? So, or statistical analysis, so that still is prevalent, and even machine learning, like auto ML models for the underwriters, that is also something which is being used for analysis, designing new risk models and understanding the models, and it helps in terms of the efficiency improvement for the from the mundane tasks to move to more value-added tasks, and it's a collaborative machine and human space which we are sort of looking at. So I hope that answers the question which you had, Shubham.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, the next question of mine is that the concept of insurtech has gained traction involving startups that offer technology-driven solutions to challenges in the insurance sector. How do you see the collaboration between traditional insurance companies and insurtech startups shaping the industry's future?
It's a very interesting one. So from an insurtech perspective, like insurtechs focus on a certain part of the value chain for the carrier, right? So, and there are several insurtechs in the market right now, and they all focus on certain value chain items for an insurance company. But the insurance company in general has to look at across the value chain, right? So um, one of the things is definitely in certain areas there is a lot of leverage. There has been a lot of merger and so a lot of M&A activities in that space where there are certain carriers, certain insurtechs, if they have certain capabilities which the carrier or the insurance company does not have, then there is the potential to partner or even buy, right? So that those kind of examples have been there. But also, one of the challenges has been around the entire value chain versus a specific item of the value chain, right? So from an insurer perspective, there are, like, you need to look at distribution, you need to look at which is your channels and intermediaries as well as direct channels as well, and then you need to look at the customer experience claims, the innovation in the products, you need to look at the service aspects, then you need to look at also underwriting, which is risk basically, and risk modeling. So there are multiple parts which form the overall value proposition for an insurance company. Now, if an insurtech is focusing on one item of the value chain, it might not be a fully holistic solution for the insurance carrier. But let's say if we're going with a rapid solution for certain things, I think that could be useful, right? Because there could be solutions which could be available readily. But again, the challenges could be two. One is in the form of integration with the existing architectural landscape of the insurance company. The second challenge could be more in terms of the technology match, right? So there's this concept of two-tier architecture or two-speed architecture where when one is moving very fast versus the other. I think there could be challenges in terms of the execution. Now, but and the knowledge, right? So domain knowledge becomes critical as you look at integrating with an insurance provider, because the business is so most of the organizations look at business outcomes from an engagement rather than purely, I would say, a technology solution. The technology could be a solution to a lot of scenarios, a lot of problems what we have within the industry. But how does it integrate with the overall process and the overall governance mechanism of the organization, right? So in my view, I think insurtechs are really great partners in a lot of areas. But again, from an insurance company standpoint or a technology executive standpoint, there are too many choices available, right? So if there are too many options, it's not that you're going to be onboarding all the insurtechs within your organization. So the differentiator there will be primarily the domain knowledge, and secondly, that understanding of the technology landscape which exists within the organization, and what are some of the challenges, and how are you able to solve those challenges very quickly. Um, one of the things was also, from a Gartner standpoint, the survey which very recent, like last year, 2021 survey. Insurtechs are there to stay, but at the same time, there is this whole discussion around the myth is kind of bursting, in the sense that this M&A activities around that space have kind of slowed down. There have been not so much success stories as well over the past years. So, and that's also partially to do with the investment, the lens which the organizations are looking from, because there is definitely a cost pressure, right? So, and that has to be, and there is a limit in terms of the funding. So, although very good collaboration opportunities, but I think what differentiates is the knowledge, and also the understanding of the overall value chain of the industry.
And I have also one question that insurance is often considered as complex and traditional industry. How do you envision the industry's evolution towards more agile and customer-centric approaches, and how can technology enable this transformation?
Sure. I mean, when you look at the industry overall, right? So yes, it's traditional. The products have been in existence for a long time, and the industry also has been in existence for a long time. So what is happening, as I mentioned in my earlier responses, is there is a paradigm shift which is going in terms of the customer behavior. Demographics also plays an important role, and also the employee, employees, the way they'll approach the organization. That behavior has also caused a shift in terms of the way we approach these solutions within the organization, right? So, I mean, like for example, in the past, you would not think about bring your own device, like, and bring any device, right, and or work from anywhere, right? So that was not like a, a normal thing. The normal thing was for you to come to the office every day and work, I mean, complete your 9, 10, 12 hours and go back. But that has changed drastically, right? So now, so when we look at the traditional, so it's also the external factors which are causing the organizations to take a look and change. So a lot of teams now, a lot of initiatives. So there has been a lot of focus on agile in most of the insurance companies I know and I've worked with. There's a focus on agile and the agile way of delivering initiatives, and that means a fundamental change in the way we look at projects and initiatives and capability building overall. And when you look at that, what happens is within the organizations, there are no longer those silos of IT teams and business teams. Yes, and there is a lot of collaboration between the IT and the business, and we have cross-functional squads or pods or mission-based teams, whatever you want to call them, which are cross-functional. And what that means is when they're cross-functional, they speak the same language. They work towards the same outcome, which is the business outcome. And business outcomes are basically, whether it is your top line, efficiency improvement, bottom line, customer experience, and also regulatory compliance. So when you look at those aspects and the way things are changing, the way things are evolving, I do see there is a lot of change which is coming, and technology is enabling, because when you look at earlier, it would be business requirement waterfall way, and you give it to the IT team. IT team does something, and IT team calls the business later on for a UAT, and then so by then requirements have changed. Now with the agile way of working, that's changing drastically, and technology is enabling, because a lot of these concepts come from the technology industries, and that's what has kind of accelerated a lot of this change.
Yes, sir. Means you mean to say that this technology has helped this industry in various formats?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So, sir, another question related to bit this type of things only, as technology is evolving in a drastic speed and is creating a drastic impact on the industry. So, sir, please talk about your top focus areas and priorities over the next 3 to 5 years.
Sure. 3 areas of focus. One is on modernizing the systems what we have, like from a technology standpoint. I mean, that becomes important. The second one is a very increased focus on security in terms of ensuring, because there's no perimeter right now with the advent of a lot of these solutions across the industry, that has completely changed in terms of, there are no boundaries. So if there are no boundaries, the security needs to evolve. So that's a major focus. The third is around the ecosystem. So like enabling ecosystem, being a part of the ecosystems and leveraging that partnership in the ecosystem. That I think is super important. And that coupled with also a lot of focus on personalization, right? So with the customer behavior or consumer behavior changing, there is a lot of focus on personalization of that experience, and that's where data forms the key. The analytics, advanced analytics, form the key. IoT, like even for IoT, you need data, right? So from that perspective, those are the four focus areas, I would say. One is just to summarize that, one is personalization, the second is security, third is ecosystem, and the fourth is more around modernization.
As you said that the technologies are means having a nice impact on the industry, and which will be the focus also of the industry in the coming years. The few points which you suggested, modernization, which was included. So, sir, please tell that what are the technologies which will be crucial for the growth of this industry, and what is your outlook for the insurance industry?
Well, technologies which will be useful, definitely our data is going to be critical. Artificial intelligence is going to come into play. API, sound API strategy will be critical for the organizations. So I mean, from a technology perspective, APIs, whether you use full stack development, I mean Java, Spring Boot, etc. Like cloud is, I mean, I would say cloud not fully. So cloud technologies which enable the faster enablement of deployments, I think are going to be critical. And from an insurance industry standpoint, right? There are few things which, from an outlook standpoint, right? One very clearly is the high, so the interest rate, low interest rate environment which we have been witnessing in the developed economies for a while. Uh, the second one, which I think is going to be critical, is also the personalization of that experience for the customer. So customer experience is going to play a very critical role. The third, which I think will be important for the industry, is also new business models and partnership with in the form of ecosystems. Yeah, like embedded insurance, for example, will gain prominence. New business models like peer-to-peer insurance, pay-as-you-go, and new areas of insurance like cyber, for example, could be very important. And apart from that, I think one of the other, like it's a heavily governed from a regulatory standpoint, right? So heavily governed industry. So I think another aspect will be agility within the organization to meet those needs of the regulatory demands from the regulators. I think that will those are things, and then so from that perspective, and then another aspect which other things which I do see becomes like when you operate in a low interest environment and low returns, etc. Right. So one of the challenges what comes is around the efficiency, and that efficiency impacts the bottom line, and then that would mean we'll need to be more nimble, more agile in terms of our deliveries, in terms of more automation, etc. And then as we look at all those aspects, right? So I mean, these are all broader picture, but at the same time, as you look at other aspects like for all this, you need the right kind of talent to drive the organizations. So talent is a real could be a real challenge, and I think personally a lot of organizations are focusing on it and kind of sharpening their talent strategy overall. And because there are two things. One which impacts that is because as you look at new technologies require new skill sets, and insurance is not the most exciting industries for the new technology talent, right? But when you look at, there are on the other side of the spectrum, you also have the core systems which are quite old for most of the organizations, and that requires a different kind of skill set. And that skill set, a lot of employees with those skill sets are retiring. It's a retiring workforce, right? So ability to have that balance between the new and the old in terms of the talent will become a key differentiator, because if you do not have the right skills within the organization, I think it becomes a major challenge kind of executing on any of the initiatives or capability building within the organization. So I hope that answers your question.
So thank you for the responses, for the your point of view which you shared with us, and it was very nice to have you in this session, sir. Hope you also like the same.
Thank you, Shubham. Thank you for having me. Like I said, these are my viewpoints. It need not be necessarily reflective of the organization, but it's based on my experience and interactions with the peers in the industry. So thank you for that.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.